Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Babylon 5 Wednesday night retrospective. This week, we're talking about episode 13 from season 1, Signs and Portents. It is the titular episode of the season. The season is called Signs and Portents. It's also the same thing. So this is arguably the most important episode of the season. And we're going to get into it. We've been looking forward to this. Cam's been looking forward to this one, and look, before we go, I should welcome my co-host, the man who is at death's door today. That's what you get for going on vacation. It's Cam. Say hello, Cam.
Good evening, everybody.
So,
Yes.
if you didn't watch the Top Lofty Lounge on Sunday, you might not know Cam. His super secret mission for the lounge was to go on vacation, and now he is deathly ill at death's door. Is that correct, Cam? Did I get that right?
Now I'm paying for it. I thought maybe I would just have a lot of work to do. Nope, get sick also.
Yeah. Well, and you were when you go to a theme park, there's lots of children around, and we know what disease bags they are.
Yeah.
Horrible disease bags.
Indeed.
Okay. All right. No comment on that. All right. Let's bring in our guests. So today we've got our two regular guest hosts. We've got Death Angel Shadow and Jason.
Hello.
Howdy.
And we have our special guest host today. One of our
drumroll, please.
Drumroll, please. Michael, welcome.
Hi there.
How are you doing today, Michael?
I am joyous that we've gotten to this point. This was my favorite sci-fi show in the 90s, and it had a very, very cool role-playing game component, which is another reason I'll try to keep the existential stuff out.
Right on.
Good luck with that.
Quick note is we should talk about the various games and stuff at some point as a special episode, maybe.
Maybe like at the end of the season.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I've been talking about a couple of different ideas for a few shows after the season is over. We could do and that could be one of them. That's a great idea. Yeah. All right, Jason and Death Angel Shadow. Anything you guys got to mention before we get started?
I didn't go on vacation. I went to Indiana, and let me tell you, it's wet, flooded, and frozen up there.
Really?
Alberta. They said it's been raining every day for like a week or more, and
it's perfect. That's at least it's not snow.
All the flat fields out there, because everything up there is flat, or like had puddles everywhere, and they were frozen over when I left yesterday to come back home. But my wife is happy. Mrs. Death is happy, so she got to see her best friend and her best friend's mom, and so I'm back. I survived. I wasn't around too many people, so I didn't get to go to take pictures of the Orlando International Airport, and I'm gonna guess Disney Springs. Those were my two guesses, by the way, Cam.
Jason, anything with you?
No, I'm still recovering from spending all last week working at the Phi Theta Kappa conference. So it's still hanging on. I'm tired. I had to dig out yesterday and today. I had tabs open in my browser. Yesterday I had Paul Garabedian on. We're talking about CinemaCon, and I had maybe 110, 120 tabs open on my browser, just digging out of email and catching up on news. It was crazy.
I mean, you can never have too many tabs open. I mean,
no, I guess not. But yeah, we're almost caught up. And tomorrow I'm going to have Stephen O'Young as a guest in the second hour. He played Mr. Negative in the Spider-Man video game.
Oh, really?
And he's campaigning to play the character in the MCU, because apparently the MCU, there's rumor that they're casting for the character, and he's like, why don't you let me play him again? So we're going to talk to him tomorrow.
No, that should be good.
That's awesome.
All right, before we get started, let's just say hello to everyone in the chat. Weatherman, our most loyal viewer, he's always here. Sick or not, he's always there. Thank you, Weatherman, to you. The Q2 cast is here. Right on, Q2. Who else do I see? Mike Finney, good to see you. Assimilated Knowledge, our guest host from last week. And again, anybody, if you want to be a guest host, just send me a little note, drop something in the comments of this show or one of the shows, and we'll get to you. We'll get you on there. Snuggy Jr. is here, of course. Dave, DP Dave is here. Good to see you. That's everybody, I think, so far, except a couple people maybe hiding, but that's okay. You can hide. All right, let's go. Cam is, like I said, he's at death's door, so he's gonna do his summary of the episode first, and then we're gonna do trivia, and then we're gonna jump into my summary and jump right into the show. We got lots to talk about. Go ahead, Cam.
Okay, episode 13, Signs and Portents, which, as you mentioned, is the title episode for the season. Written by J. Michael Straczynski, originally aired May 18th, 1994, and is 116 in production order. Now, just quickly before I go, I was very excited about this episode. It's like all the things that I've been waiting to see come in, and I will enjoy hearing you guys all chat about it. I will be in the chat to listen to you, and welcome Michael for guest hosting this week. So everyone have a great time. Thank you everyone for coming, and I will talk to you soon.
Feel better.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. Get some rest.
Thanks.
All right. Okay, let's punch up the real quick. We'll punch up the trivia from last week. And we'll do that real quick, and then we'll move on. All right, so trivia questions from last week. That was By Any Means Necessary. That was the episode. So question 1 was, what is the Gequan Eth?
It's a flower.
2. Yeah, just yell it out.
Well, you said to.
Yeah, I do it. It's okay. You do it. How many dock workers died in the explosion?
Well, 1.
What was the name of the senator that Sinclair contacts?
I can't remember his name. It's like begins with an H, like hero something or other.
How much is Londo initially willing to sell the Gequan F for? And
$2.
$2.50. $3.75. No.
I'll buy that for $1.
According to Natoth, what does she believe in?
Let's see. She's kind of agnostic. She believes in herself.
All right, the answers. Of course, the Gequan F is a plant. 1 dock worker died in the explosion. There was 2 in the thing. They pulled 1 guy out. The other guy was dead. The name of the senator, Hidoshi,
yeah.
and it was 50,000 credits.
Yep.
And
commercial credits.
And
Republic credits?
No, commercial credits.
And according to Natoth, she believes in herself. That's it.
That. I got them all right.
Okay. Let's go. Let's get back to the. Okay, so I'll do my summary of the episode. Okay, so the episode starts off with Ivanova in bed. We find out she doesn't like mornings. Yeah, who does? And then we go to her in the CNC. There's a distress call from a fighter escorting a transport. The fighter is destroyed. We then, of course, have the intro of the show. After the intro, we open up with a mysterious human comes aboard. And he hasn't been there in a while, apparently, but he has been there before. We don't know anything about him. Next scene, we have Ivanova, Sinclair, and Garibaldi. They're discussing the Raider problem, and they're discussing what to do, how they're going to solve it. And then after they finish, Ivanova leaves. Sinclair talks to Garibaldi, and he finally mentions the missing 24 hours that we've been wondering about for 13 episodes, and the Battle of the Line and what happened. And he asks Garibaldi to investigate and keep it on the down low.
They didn't have time to show any of the footage from the previous time because it was really full.
Then we have Londo meeting in a public area. He meets with a human and gets the eye, which is the symbol of Centauri nobility. And we have this mysterious human, the guy who came earlier. He's watching this happen. Next, we have Jakar and Londo. They argue while waiting for the elevator, and they verbally poke each other, miss the elevator, and both leave mad at each other. Next, we have Sinclair and Garibaldi. It's the end of their discussion of the Battle of the Line and the missing 24 hours. And Sinclair mentions about that his memory was wiped, and he's pretty sure that he saw Delin sometime during that. Next scene, we have the mysterious human. We find out his name is Morden, and he's talking to Jakar, and he asks him what he wants. I asked him several times. Jakar doesn't finally replies with the truth, which is that he wants justice, basically. Next, we have Londo meeting some Centauri that are coming off a ship, Kiro and Landra, and she's a seer.
Ladira.
Sorry, Ladira. Excuse me. Ladira, she's a seer. She has a vision of the destruction of Babylon 5 right there in where they's meeting them in customs or wherever, and she collapses. Next scene, we find out she's okay. Londo and Kiro talk about. Kiro mentions that she has said to him that he will be killed by. She predicted he'd be killed by Shadow, whatever that means. And the Morden, the mysterious human, is watching this again. Then we have Morden. Morden talking to Delin, asks her what she wants. She doesn't really answer. She has some sort of weird feeling. There's a triangle that appears on her forehead, and she tells him to leave and says, "They are here." Next, Londo and Kira are talking about the eye, and Kira is not happy with the government. He doesn't want to give the eye to the government. He says it belongs to his family, and he kind of feels cheated. Next scene, the seer is having more visions of the destruction of Babylon 5. Then Raiders attack. Delta Wing is launched to stop the Raiders. Next scene, we see a human. He is. We find out later he's involved with the Raiders. He says something to the effect of, "They've taken the bait. We'll keep Babylon 5 busy." Then we see Ambassador Kosh. His ship docks, and Warden watches him. Delta Wing then goes after the Raiders in the next scene. Kirill and Londo talk. They're going to move the eye. They're taking it on a ship. They're going to get it off Babylon 5, take it back to the homeworld. And Kirill mentions that he wants to reclaim his place, assumably in the government where he rightfully belongs. Next scene is the CNC Sinclair. He's asking himself, wait a second, something doesn't add up. Why are the Raiders attacking? They usually attack one sector away. It's another sector away. It's like extra far. What's going on?
It's a trap.
Hero and Londo and Ladira get jumped on the way to their ship, kidnapped. Two of their whoever was with them, I don't know if they're guards or whatever, they're shot. The kidnapper takes the eye. Then back to the CNC. Sinclair realizes that the Raiders are a diversion. He orders Ivanova back to Babylon 5. We then go to the Centauri ship, and he goes to Sinclair is there, talks to Londo, says, "Oh, there's a problem." And during that time, this is the time where they're in the middle of being kidnapped. Kirill pushes the other two away. The Raider, or whoever he is, takes Kirill as a hostage, takes him to the ship. And the seer says, "Shadows are coming for him," whatever that means. Then back to the CNC. Sinclair is there, and they're wondering, about how this ship's going to get away because they've closed the jump gate. And then this bigger ship jumps in, which is a carrier, has a bunch of raiders that jump out, and they're detached from the ship and attack Babylon 5, and they're kind of surprised.
I think we've
next,
seen that ship before too,
maybe.
or a ship like that.
The next scene, there's more battle scenes. And then we have the seer seeing chaos on Babylon 5s and talking about hearing voices and how shadows have come for Kiro. More battle scenes. Morden is he is seen looking to talk to Kosh. He's a bit hesitant, obviously, looks a bit hesitant, and Kosh just tells him to leave. Next, we have more battle. The Centauri ship makes it to the Raider mothership. Sinclair sets an ambush, which is successful, but the mothership escapes. Sinclair, next scene, Sinclair's in his office. They're debriefing. They're basically talking about what happened, and he asks Londo and Ladira what was on your ship, and they say, "Okay, well, it's the eye. It's important Centauri thing." He's a little bit mad. Obvious that he's made a deal with them, and he's told them all this information, and they're supposed to capture him, but they double cross him. They say they can't help him overthrow the government, and then a ship appears, which kind of looks very shadow-like, and it destroys the ship, killing everybody, the raiders and everybody aboard.
Yep.
Next scene, Ladira knows that Kiro is dead. Then we have Ladira and Londo talking. Londo mentions that he is going to be blamed for the loss of the eye, and his career is probably over. And then Morden shows up and gives him the eye. Sinclair and Garibaldi are talking. Garibaldi says he's done some looking into what Sinclair asked him to do, and reveals to Sinclair that he was picked by the Membari to run Babylon 5. They basically refused every other person until finally they got to Sinclair, and they said, okay, he can be the commander of Babylon 5. And then the last scene, Ladira talks to Sinclair just before he leaves. Before she leaves, she shows him the vision of her vision of what happens to Babylon 5 being destroyed, and says the future can change. You can avoid destruction based on your choices. All right. So
there's no fate but what we make. The future. Oh wait, different time travel thing.
Yeah. That is the episode summary. All right, gentlemen, who wants to go first? We should let our guests go first. Nathan or Michael.
Thank you. Okay. First thing, you make it sound so bland, because in this particular episode lends itself to a lot of setups in the scenes with lighting, and they use very sinister music that is not used in any of the other episodes up to this point in the season or series. So the very first thing that they set up for mood is when this strange Hume, Mr. Morden, shows up. He's coming into the station, and he has, unlike the other passenger liners or in the other berthing bays, that you see people coming through the checkpoint to get into the station, and that he comes in. He's the only one in the berth, and his ship is the only one in that particular berth as well. So what happens is they're setting it up, kind of who's the guest for the week, and then so he goes through the checkpoint. But what makes it very strange is he seems a little not disoriented, distracted. So he's the guard at the checkpoint's like, your ID's fine, but it's a little old. And he says, I've been out by the rim. Did you find anything interesting? and what happens is that he doesn't answer him for a moment. It's like he's listening to something else or someone else, or someone else is in the conversation, and then like he kind of he raises his eyes back up to the guard, and he says, "Yes," with a smile on his face. But the smile wasn't. It's not. It's like he didn't come up with the idea himself. You kind of get that feeling that someone else or something else is there with him.
Anybody else want to comment on that?
Well, I did find it strange that he was the only one. And I kind of, they obviously imply that something is odd about this fellow, since he was the only one, and then like Nathan said, suddenly he's the his credentials are dated. So definitely there's some foreshadowing there. But this is the guy that it actually has the special package, is it not? That we see. Yeah, isn't that the fellow that was bringing the box?
Oh, the guy that comes in with the box to give it to Malari in the first place is he looks like, how's it go? He looks like one of those shabby wearing nice shiny clothes, but
Yeah.
but he's kind of scummy. He's definitely given an air of being kind of scummy.
Oh yeah. Well, and he even there's even a point at which Londo asks, he wanted to know how he got it, and he says, "No, you wouldn't," which implies some.
That's different. That's a different guy though. That's not Morden.
Yeah, no. So was it Morden though? That was the one that walked that was walking by himself.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I called him Mr. Q.
Michael said, yeah, he was walking by himself. But yeah, Jason, any?
It's weird that I'm sitting here and I'm trying to remember the beginning of the episode, and I guess maybe I fell asleep a little bit. I don't know, because there's pieces of this I'm like, yeah, I remember that. I don't remember that, so I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again. Morden does strike me as being a little bit of a Section 31 type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He feels like it's like, yeah, I'm gonna sneak around here, and I'm gonna be creepy and mysterious and spooky. But he gives off the same vibe as you get from Sloane.
Yeah.
From Section 31.
Yeah.
And
the thing is, though, sorry, go ahead.
And not heavy-handed like Buster.
Right. Well, and it kind of makes me wonder, and I don't know if anybody said anything in this episode whether or not what organization he belongs to, because we have the race riots. We have the race organizations that are back on Earth. The Earth First group.
No, he doesn't mention any.
He doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah. So we don't know who this guy. Yeah, we don't know who this guy belongs to, and the implication at the end is that maybe he's connected to the Raiders somehow. But that's an.
So my thing is that my implication was, I'll tell you, I thought that he was connected to the Shadow somehow, because when he's meeting with Delin, you notice that she's like, looks at him, what do you want? I hear you asking people questions.
Mm-hmm.
And then she kind of has this weird, feeling about him, and the camera cuts back to him, and then he gets covered in shadow.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Leave, get out of here," and her triangle thing on her head, which I don't.
The music becomes strange.
So what if he's?
Then she goes back, and it cuts back to him, and the shadow disappears. Right? She has this sort of she has a vision that he's evil or a shadow or whatever that means. So,
but I think
what if he's a shadow?
The implication to me is he was a shadow. Well,
that's what I figured too. He's working for them, or he's
one of them.
He's taken over by them or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Cam's probably
Screaming. Well, yeah.
Anybody who's seen all 5 seasons is probably chewing their. Oh my god.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it was that part was pretty well done. Obviously, she feels ill, and we know that the Minbari have some innate telepathic, kinetic, different, maybe latent type powers or something that aren't quite as out there in the open as like the Psychor is, but
Yeah. Or like the what do you call it, Centauri, because the Centauri, Ladira is the house seer,
seer.
uh,
Yeah, well,
and
or she's called the seer or
prophetess.
the prophetess, which I thought
Yes,
that was kind of an interesting way to use that word,
right.
prophetess.
And even though, and later on, even though Kiro kind of laughs at it, and he goes, well, she's been wrong before. She said I was going. She said when they told her my birth fortune that I would die in shadows.
Right.
So, but she didn't. But of course, the thing
Didn't
is,
say
when she
when. She didn't say when, just that it would happen.
right, and the other thing is that they really did take her seriously, as in, like, not just like out of respect for your position, like it's either a hereditary position or something like that. Like they really should take heed of the seer's words.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to go back before. Let's talk. We'll talk about her next. I wanted to mention that one other thing that I found it interesting about Morden, that he sort of seems very hesitant to approach Ambassador Kosh. Like he's got to come ask him the question, and he's like, I don't know if I really want to go talk to him. Like
I don't think I think he was hiding from him in that first scene. He was hiding and waiting for Kosh
in the first
to
scene,
pass.
maybe. But
Yeah.
In the final, like in the scene where he's
I think Kosh
trying to
caught him.
approach him,
I
because he's
think
standing in the
Kosh caught
hallway.
him.
Kosh is coming down the hallway. He's standing in the
Yeah.
hallway. And he looks like he wants to approach him, because he does mention, he goes, I have to ask everybody this question before I could leave, right? So it looks like he wants, he's supposed to, but he doesn't really want to. But
See, I got the opposite impression. I got the impression that he was trying to sneak around, and Kosh showed up and told him what we'll get to that, I'm sure. But,
Yeah.
But that was my impression, was he was hiding from Kosh.
Mm-hmm.
He did not want to be spotted by Kosh, because I think Kosh knows what he is. Well, Kosh,
I don't know. I mean, yeah, he does, but I just think Kosh. I mean, why would he be? Let's hide in this hallway where Kosh is probably going to walk down. Like he could,
to make sure he gets
huge.
Doesn't.
It's huge. There's all kinds of places to hide. I mean, I think if he's kind of, and when Kosh comes down, he doesn't like run away down the hallway.
Well, maybe it was a dead end.
Maybe. All right. Well, let's talk about Ladira. We were starting to talk about her. Let's talk about her anyway. Is there anything you guys were talking? You want to add anything, Jason? You want to jump in to something about her? Or...
No, I'm good right now.
You're good.
I mean,
right.
she comes right out the bat, and she has this. She hears this destruction. But clearly, they're implying that she's having a vision, and you hear destruct, and she's clearly having an episode, having a vision, and that's of course when her nephew says, well, she's been wrong before. Says, kind of brushes it off. He's obviously not a believer in that type of stuff. But she's an interesting character. I wonder if we'll see her again. At their house, it was this object that they're there to get is actually the symbol of their house, but it's also supposed to be the oldest relic from their civilization, and it's been missing for forever.
Well, it's been missing. It was missing for over 100 years, because that's where it was. That's where it was last noted by anybody. So, the other thing to keep in mind is that Kiro's house was the first house, or first, if you want to call it, not empire, dynasty.
The nobles, yeah.
Yeah, they and because of the way. Sorry.
Did they specifically say that in the show?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, did they?
because
Yeah, they did.
I don't remember that, but I got the impression that it was because this is like, this is the symbol of the emperor.
That's why he feels like his house
used to
is
be
the one is
he's entitled to it because he's a descendant of an early emperor before the empire
current.
changed hands.
Yeah.
That was my impression, but I didn't remember them specifically saying it. But
Now I did not hear that it had only been missing for 100 years. The way I took it as this thing has been missing for thousands of years.
no, they mentioned 100.
Did they?
years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
That it was
I
there
didn't
and
I didn't catch that part. I was taking notes, but that wasn't something that I caught. So
Yeah. Okay, so we were kind of talking about Kiro. You guys want to mention a little bit more about him?
he definitely's got he's got some sort of underhandedness to him.
Well, it's pretty obvious at
yeah.
the very end of the show.
Well, yeah, but I mean, even early on, just kind of his demeanor. He wants to spend some time with the eye before he has to take it back.
Well, I mean, that's just
And give it up.
That could just be,
That's something I wanted to bring up. The part about for the because it's kind of like an ensemble show. The thing was, if you notice, for much of this particular episode, Londo is not his boisterous, self-important self. If you notice, he's actually acting like he's drunk and morose. And because, and this ties back to Kiro, because they're both, one thing, remember, they're both lamenting the empire's, or excuse me, the republic's decline.
Okay, but they are, but it's kind of different, right? Like the difference between they both lamenting it, but they're in a different space about that, right?
You wonder if Londo had serious thoughts about keeping the eye himself.
Well, it didn't seem that way to me.
I think he had thoughts about it, but he said no. You know what? And I think maybe his tone was because he was in a lower house or a lower station.
Lower caste.
Yeah.
I think it's more because in tradition, he's more bound in tradition, like the good old days, so to as he keeps bringing up.
Well, now, okay, hold on. I don't think he could keep the eye anyway, because he is saying, like he says, well, where did you? It's obvious, like the cost of the eye was paid for by the government, and it's the cost of a small planet. So Londo didn't find the eye and he didn't buy it. He's just meeting, he's always been told by his government they found it somehow, talked to this guy, and he's simply getting it from this guy.
Kiro's definitely doing underhanded, because he's like, he even said in the conversation with Londo, the emperor hasn't been seen in over a year, and all you see is the whatever behind that, that represents the emperor, showing up. You haven't seen him, and the people are there's things are happening on the planet that you're not aware of, and this and that, and he's kind of saying, what if I was to like return and claim the throne for myself? He's kind of, he's underhanded at that point.
I think that Kiro is obviously feeling out Londo about this idea that he has of over.
Maybe he's looking for backers.
Yeah, so he's obviously feeling them out.
Because Londo's like, you wouldn't live that long. This is not the good old days.
Right. And that's the thing. Apparently, back in the good old days, they actually obeyed in traditions, procedures, rules, and not just what do you call it? Not courtyard. what do you call it? Throne room, underhanded talking and manipulations and gossip and such.
He who holds the scepter or whatever, is the rightful one, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that? I mean, so Cam say in the chat, Londo's answer is telling. I mean, Kiro is feeling out Londo, and Londo doesn't seem to be taking the bait. Would you guys agree with that, or how come he's not, doing that?
I think you nailed it though. He's definitely bound to tradition. I think he wishes he had it. I think he had thoughts about it, but ultimately
Londo,
the government. But I think the he knows that the government paid. What did he say? The price of a small planet for this to find this.
I would disagree. I don't think Londo is thinking of keeping it for himself at all. I don't think there's any indication.
But see, when
the way that he throws, like Kiro says, hey, maybe I should just keep it for myself. He's like, he's like, what are you gonna do? He doesn't take the bait. He doesn't even seem to.
When Morden poses that, what do you want? And he finally gets an answer out of him.
And that's what I'm basing I'm basing his motivation on, the answer that he gives to Mr. Morden, because then then he gets all fired up and actually because he's kind of disgusted with the whole situation and what his fate is, and it's like and later on after he answers the question with what his fate is. That's where I'm getting his whole motivation, because then he's driven by what he really feels, his frustration about what's happened to his entire race and to the Republic.
Okay, but if you could be upset, you could be upset with what's happening to the empire, and want to return it to, quote, its former glory. That doesn't mean necessarily that you want to be.
But he also said his house. He wanted his house to.
Yeah, of course, but that doesn't. Londo's.
He wanted to be in the position that was worthy of him.
Yeah,
that he felt was worthy.
I'm going to agree with assimilated knowledge. You want to go back to the good old days.
Yeah,
but it doesn't necessarily mean that he personally wants to be in power.
But I think
I don't see any indication of that. But that's just me.
Okay.
You're entitled. Jason, do you want to comment? You want to come down on the side?
Well, I mean, the impression that I get from Kiro is that I'm the rightful heir type of attitude is what I get from him. Londo's reaction to getting the eye at the end, he seems more reverent about the artifact. I don't get the impression, from what I remember the episode, I don't get the impression that Londo is going to use it to acquire power. I mean, he may be trying to restore his status a little bit with the recovery of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm thinking. At the beginning of the episode when he first gets it, he's like, we finally have this thing that's been missing for so long. And how many episodes have we had Londo in the middle of conversations talking about his status and the status of various different nobles and people in charge in the government in various different positions. So I think it's a standing issue for him more than it is acquiring power. I mean, it's any kind of a win for him would help with his ability to influence things going on back home. Sure.
Yeah. No, I actually would agree with that, and because I think part of it is that Londo doesn't have the same, he wouldn't have the same legitimacy to the eye that Kiro would, right? It used to be part of Kiro's family. He's got much more of a claim to it. Londo couldn't just say, I got the eye, So I think that's
right. Well, I don't think that's necessarily what Londo wants, but I think he does want to bring his his station back up and restore honor to his house and
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know, and I think I think the thing is he was genuine in what he wants, you know, to have for his people. Whereas Kiro is just simply he wants power. He's seeking power for just having the power. Whereas Londo actually wants what's best for his people. He wants his people to retake their place in the galaxy and the universe, you know, to restore them back the way things were when they were the strong and powerful Centauri Republic, you know.
The Lion of the Galaxy.
You know, it's interesting that the further in we get in this season, and the more we learn about both Londo and Jakar, the more alike they are, really, in terms of their motivations for some of the things they do. Now, Jakar is, of course, looking out for himself a lot, but ultimately, at the bottom of everything that both of them do with their various different machinations and manipulations, their motivation is do what's best for my people.
Okay.
And they have that thing in common. But both of them in different ways. I mean, Londo especially. I'm in it for myself. What do I get out of it? Right. Jakar does that some, but Jakar is
the thing is Jakar wants
inflated.
the destruction of the Centauri and all the enemies and the Narns. He wants to wipe them off there, to suck the marrow from their bones, and you know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay,
he's
hold
all
on.
about.
But he's bluster.
Yeah. Okay, hold on for a second. I want to talk about this. I just want to. Mike Finney had a good question before we move on to Jakar. I want to just get what you guys think about this question. Londo would rather be the power behind the one on the throne, not on it himself.
I think
Then we're
that's
going to go into
valid.
the Jakar.
Maybe.
Do you agree?
Maybe.
Disagree?
I think maybe, but not. It. He hasn't been overt about it. Not even to his assistant. And where the heck is he? Yeah.
Here?
Interesting that all the major characters are here, but all the secondary, like the Doctor's not. You don't see the Doctor. You don't see Talia. You don't see Vizier. You don't see
Nataf.
Do you see Nataf? I don't even think you know.
Not
I
in
don't
this
think you see
episode.
Nataf. And you don't see what's the one I'm forgetting? At any rate, you don't see any, but you see all the primary characters who you don't see normally in every episode together. So it's kind of interesting.
Well, that's from a practical production standpoint. That's probably a budget thing, because if you've got all of this visual effects that you've got to do this time,
You have to pick and choose. Plus, there's a lot of screen time of all those characters.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's a lot of cutting from one to the next, back to the next, to the next, you know, that type of thing throughout.
All right. You guys are going everywhere. All right. Just real quick. Yeah. Cam's not feeling well. He's sick, so he's just sort of lurking in the
fading out.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about, let's go back to what we were talking about, Jakar.
Yeah. No, he didn't take things as far as Londo. He was basically, after we kill all the Centauri, then we can, as long as my planet's in peace, I don't care. So he's not I don't know, rabid about everything else, because for him it's just keep my planet safe and keep my people safe, and I'm done. While Londo is talking about the only way Londo can be happy with his statement is to basically kill all the Narn, and then he's got to oppress everybody else and take over the galaxy, and still take over the galaxy.
Okay, I'm going to just push back on that, because first of all, Jakar says, you know, he talks about, he says he wants justice, but
yes, what he wants is vengeance.
He wants vengeance.
He basically talks about revenge. He wants to crush his enemies' skulls and all this stuff. So, number one, is he? I mean, he
turn their cities to dust. You know,
I mean,
yeah.
I would say it's
He's
the reverse.
very.
It's the reverse of what you said, which is that Jakar seems to want revenge.
But he wants
and
that
Londo,
revenge without the price,
well,
without
Londo
paying the
says he wants
penalty or
to
paying the price for it.
restore the power of his race. That
Right.
doesn't necessarily mean taking over the galaxy, or it just means being necessarily
Restoring their position because they're
Their
a declining
position.
civilization. He wants to bring them back to their glory days, whereas Jakar wants pure, unadulterated revenge on the Centauri and anybody else that's wronged them.
Yeah, which he calls justice.
He calls it justice, but he wants this without any penalty for that
The hardship and blood and except for Centauri blood, the blood and treasure that it would take to kill all the Centauri.
Right.
He wants it all without having to do the work. Well, as long as it involves killing Centauri.
Of course, you have to wonder if in the end won't maybe all get what they wanted. Except for Delenn. Delenn was interesting just because of her. She knows they're here, and that's kind of they don't. She doesn't go into detail about what she knows. Just she knows there's something. I kind of get the impression with Delenn that it's directly tied to the whole reason why she selected, that they required Sinclair to be the one who was on the station. Which
all right, hold on.
Thing.
We're moving on. We're moving on to Delenn.
That's
a good topic. I just want to make sure that everybody. Well, first, let me say I like Jakar, but I like Londo better because Londo is more like me, debauched and.
Okay. Good to know that. Good to know that.
Does anybody have any last comments on this topic before Jeff moves us on to Delenn, which is a good topic? I think it's good to talk about it for sure. Anybody else?
Notice humans weren't. Notice that Mr. Morden didn't talk to Sinclair or any other representative from the station or senator or whatever, and didn't ask any human that question. That's kind of weird. Well,
it is.
Yeah. Just saying, why not?
Yeah. Okay. That's a good question. Okay, so you want to look before we? I mean, I'm trying to keep us on track here.
Track.
Yeah.
Why would you want to do that?
It's very tough with an episode like this where literally
chaos.
Everything is connected.
Let's go to so let's talk about Delenn then. Does anybody know what that triangle thing on her head was? I didn't get that.
Clearly it shows she's from the Great Council.
Is that what their symbol looks like? Because I don't remember seeing that.
I believe we did see that once before, didn't we?
Did we? Okay.
The only thing I would think is it's their association with threes, because apparently there's 3 castes in their society: the worker, warrior, and I forgot what they call it, the religious.
Mm-hmm.
So they have 3 castes, and well, I can't talk about that yet.
Spoilers, yeah.
Pardon?
Is that spoilers?
Yeah. I told you I have to keep myself tighter than usual.
You're the diehard here. You're the one that's Yep.
Yeah, Michael knows all the trivia, all the
no, not the trivia. I just know
the deep. So
yeah. So
trying to focus on
here
what the show is telling us.
Right, this particular episode.
Ken says that we saw her triangle in a flashback.
Well, yeah. I was gonna say Sinclair did see that when he had that piece when he was in that mind whatever contraption. He did see Delenn with that symbol on her forehead, so that's like a confirmation that he didn't just imagine that. This is that she really does have that symbol on her forehead,
hidden somehow.
Yeah, but she's getting notice the order of it though. She's getting that weird. She's getting that weird feeling, and like she's starting to get a headache and stuff. And then the symbol appears. So, what is it? Is this a genetic trait of their species, or if you know?
I'm inclined to think that whatever power or aura the shadow have with Mr. Morden or whatever his name is.
Yeah,
I think
it's Morden. Don't you forget it, Mister.
yeah. I just wrote down Q at one point. But I think
No,
that
Kiro is Q.
no.
Yeah, he's the
Oh.
Because he actually played a Q. He played the Q that wanted to kill himself.
That's
You're
where
being
I thought.
funny. I know. I kind of
That's
figured.
where
I thought I'd seen him before.
Yeah, I couldn't get on it until you mentioned it there, Jason. That's right.
But yeah, no. I think it affects the Mimbari's ability to use those. Yeah, I think it disrupts it. That's the feeling I got. It disrupted it because she's obviously got some sort of concealment thing going on to conceal this symbol that's on her forehead, and I think that his pure presence, disrupted it and made her feel unnervous. That's when she knew who he was, and she told me get out.
And a point on that is that she's usually very even tempered, and she gets kind of mad with them. And
Yes,
she's very That's unusual.
She doesn't even answer his question. She's just like, get out. You must go now. Go. Get out.
And
Go away.
panicked.
And panicked, yes. Very much so.
Does anyone know the other hidden sign of 3 in the episode? I don't. I didn't catch one.
There was a hidden sign of 3 besides that?
Well, Q2 says so. I don't know. I didn't see one. But anyway, yeah. Okay, so anything else about Delin? Anything anyone else want to talk about here?
I mean, we don't see much of her other than that. Yeah, that particular scene. He leaves and he just keeps on going, asking people, "But what do you want?"
All right. Well, let me ask a question about that, and see what you guys think. I find it interesting. I mean, not all of them, but I find it interesting that Morden goes to Jakar, and I mean, he has to push him a little bit, but Jakar tells him what his inner thoughts are. What do you really, really want? I mean, and he does the same with Londo, and he has to push him, but he eventually gets both of them to say what it is their true desires are, which is, first of all, unusual because these guys are both ambassadors. They're used to hiding what their true intentions are. And why would some random human guy who comes up to you, you've never seen him again, asks you a question a couple times, and then you tell him your really true feelings? That seemed unusual.
It did, yeah. Well, he pesters them. Maybe he makes people unnerved and lose their ability to conceal. Maybe the shadow reveal. The shadow unhides what they are trying to hide or keep hidden. Their true feelings, their true whatever.
Also, another weird thing in the episode is that at least for Londo and for Jakar, Morden tells them both. Morden tells them both that they actually got referrals, recommendations from other higher placed people than them in their respective governments. So to arrange for these meetings, even though, and they accepted, both Londo and Jakar accepted that these recommendations were valid. I had the one from Jakar written down. What was it, Tana of the first circle or something like that? So Tabar of the first circle, and what happens is that Jakar accepted that was a legitimate contact. So the other thing, again,
Now
before
they
he
still
finally,
didn't have to.
before he,
They didn't have to answer his question though. Like he might have been able
no,
to get his foot in the door, but they didn't have to answer. Right?
no,
Like,
but what I'm trying to imply is that what where else does this Mr. Morden have influence that he was able to get these recommendations? I mean, for Londo and for Jakar, just to see somebody, yeah, they'll take a bribe for it, no problem.
yeah,
But the thing is, these higher up muckety mucks from the other governments, from their respective governments, would they take a bribe? Maybe, but the thing is that they went and gave it to them, and kind of like, yeah, all right, I have to see you. So what am I supposed to talk to you about? What do you want? um,
so
the,
Cam
I'm
says that
implying that they have that this Morden guy's got vast influence on some level or another, or
his
it
organization
has
does.
something, yeah, or has something on the people that that he contacted to get those recommendations.
Yeah. So Cam
Well,
says he's got
either
a high
that or it is.
diplomacy score. Maybe he's got high persuasion, or if he's playing D&D, he's got like high charisma. Maybe.
Yeah,
Ye-
high charisma.
Yeah,
I could do that. Yeah, but I think it's more
Here's a
than
good
that.
point. Q2 makes a good point. Rise on the transport ship, but whose transport ship? We don't know anything about it. And nothing. It's not mentioned.
Was there actually a transport ship?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He walked down the hallway by
That
himself.
doesn't mean anything.
it was the empty ship. It was the empty ship berth.
It was an empty berth. Yeah, and
Okay.
he walks
Maybe.
into that.
No,
They never showed him arrive on a ship.
no, they showed him walking down the corridor from the ship.
And then
But
going through customs.
they never, yeah, and he went to customs, but he never said what ship he was on. He never said he was on the ship.
That's true.
Right.
But
And as you see later on, when Londo turns around, he's gone. So,
well, he
did
could have
he
just walked
actually?
out while Londo was like looking. Oh my god! I can't believe the eye. We still have it. It's not blown up.
Well, if you look at it, the box, it looks like it's burned.
Yeah, I didn't notice that, but that's
I did. Yeah,
interesting.
it was clean and pristine when they first recovered it. Well, relatively speaking, and then when he brought him the gift,
Yeah.
the box, clearly had signs of charring on it, which is to me indicative of
Somehow it was.
they recovered it. You have powerful friends.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
All right.
and
So what about? Okay, sorry. I was going to say what? Okay, we mentioned this earlier. So how come Morden doesn't talk to he doesn't go to the humans. He doesn't go to, anybody at Babylon 5. Maybe there's no human ambassador in Babylon 5, though Sinclair sort of
Sinclair technically is,
but he's not really. He's military. He's not really up at the level of Jakar or Londo in the government. But what about that fact that no one of that seems to imply to me that maybe the humans are behind this. But
hang on a second, because Sinclair is the commander of the station. So from a status standpoint, he's at a level on the council. He's at a level that's pretty much even with the ambassadors, because he represents the interests of Earth. So he may not have the title of ambassador, but one of the hats that he's got to wear is probably in that realm.
Yeah,
but I don't think that he would be taken as seriously as a real ambassador from Earth. Like he's a military.
well, it's an Earth station.
Not even,
so.
not even that high of a military.
No, but for
very
the council, for the council, he sits and represents Earth, and more or less the League of Non-Aligned Worlds ends up becoming a sort of tiebreaker. Because now you'll have an odd number, so you do have a quote clear majority when you have 5 votes as opposed to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think he's essentially got the same level of influence and plenipotentiary power that that an ambassador would have.
I mean, I would disagree. He wouldn't be as powerful as an ambassador. He represents the military. He doesn't represent.
There is no
civilian-
ambassador.
Except he does,
that
but he doesn't.
No, you're
He
right.
doesn't represent. Now, hang on. He doesn't represent just the military. He is in a military position, but like Michael said, he represents the positions and the policies of Earth's government. So he is acting in the capacity of an ambassador for Earth as the commander of the station, because
Right.
he's got two functions there. He's got, I'm running the operation of Babylon 5 and representing Earth. So he may not have the title, but he's doing the job.
Yeah, and
Definitely.
all of them, and all five of them, even though they may talk and debate and cut agreements, all five of them still have to go back to their homeworld governments in order to get final approval for things. Well, maybe not for the Minbari. We haven't seen their government in action really in any way. Because for
Well,
the
they
Centauri and for
abstain,
the Narns,
and
they both have said
abstain.
they have to contact Homeworld. They have to, Centauri Prime, and we have to contact the Earth Senate. So those have outright said that that they can make the agreement, but they still have to consult Earth or Homeworld or whatever.
Certainly.
Well, and
yeah.
I think the existence of the Grey Council for the Minbari probably has dropped some hints there. And whoever it was that showed up at Delin's quarters at the end of that one episode,
The Soul
when-
Hunter.
yeah, when all of that happened, I think there's been some implied information about how the Minbari operate with Delin representing them. It might not have been as overt as some of the other stuff, but I think we get a little bit of an idea of the power structure there too, with the existence of the Grey Council.
She's a member of the Grey Council, not
Yeah.
the leader of the Grey Council.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
So she,
Council might not have a leader.
of this group of how many were there? 7, 9, something like that, or what?
For the
how
Great
many?
Council,
Yeah,
9.
9, which would make sense because it's 3 squared. So
Oh,
if they're
there
big
you
on the threes.
there's the 3 threes. What if it's like what if it's actually I already know the answer, but for the 9 representatives, maybe each set of 3 represents one of the castes. 3 for warriors, 3 for religious, and 3 for worker.
Could be, yeah, maybe.
So Q2, yeah, we mentioned this earlier, but he was scanning security, and he hadn't been scanning a long time. We were talking,
But that, I mean, that still doesn't imply where he came from. How he actually got there. No, because we did hear about the other ship. I think that was the one that was under attack. Was it the Spinoza, right? And then we of course know about the ship that Kiro and his aunt Ladira were on. So, but did we? Usually you see a transport land. You're going to see more than one person walking off. Instead, you just see one guy, no pilot, no nothing. That's kind of a little unusual. So
Yeah, a little, but Koch does it. But maybe it's a privilege that each of the diplomats receives.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At any rate, so
I wanted to ask. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about Sinclair in this episode. He realizes. I think they're showing him. I want to hear what you guys think. They're kind of showing him as a fairly smart commander, knows what's going on. He can sort of see through problems. He looks at, why are these raiders? They're an extra sector away. Usually they're much farther than normal. What's going on here? I'm suspicious. And he figures out it's a diversion.
yeah, he figured out it's a trap. as we said. I think I said at the very beginning, it's a trap.
But what's funny is that the thing that I even have this written down here. How did he? Being in the military as a pilot, how could he not know that the only way that was really possible for them to do is that they had a jump capable carrier ship. That was the only thing,
How
because
did he not know, or
how could he not have figured it out earlier? Besides plot armor.
Well,
I
Well, look,
mean,
on that question before we go. I mean, the third scene of the episode is they're discussing this Raiders problem. They've had a problem with these Raiders for a while, and now they're just finally deciding they're going to do some stuff about it. That seems a little bit unusual to me. Like, how come they haven't taken some of these
why don't
actions?
why don't they have regular patrols that are out there, going through the gates and securing the gates? That's what I'm wondering. Why aren't there some bigger ships that are out there protecting those sectors of space where the gates are?
Why don't they
You
have?
know?
Yeah, they'll have a cruiser or a battle ship or some
With a
destroyers.
complement, with a complement of
They've only got
of,
Babylon 5 and some
Furies,
fighters. That's it.
everything has to come from Babylon 5 or from Earth. That's kind of,
Yeah, it seems like it.
I mean, maybe it's space is a dangerous place.
So, yeah. So, and I mean, any comments about what they're trying to tell us with Sinclair? They're trying to show him
Well,
he's a little bit more competent commander. No one else gets it. Ivanova doesn't figure it out. Garibaldi doesn't figure it out. Like, he figures it out.
And he was a fighter pilot too. So where was he launched from when they were doing the Battle of the Line? Because he was a fighter pilot, so he knows that there's got to be such things as bases and well, it's more of overtly shown in later seasons, and it's not like a spoiler thing, but in general, I would have asked that question regardless. How could he not know about carriers?
Well,
It's just
I think he knows about it. He just doesn't. But why not? They don't make the connection. These guys are disappearing, and they're
for the Raiders to have one of these ships now,
maybe that's it.
Maybe they underestimated the Raiders where they were coming from, and
It might be equivalent to,
but
like,
I
it might be
swear
equivalent in our time to a Somali pirate having an aircraft carrier.
the
So
Barbary
maybe
Coast,
they don't bother even think about it.
that's where the Marines came from, right? The Barbary
Yeah.
Coast, maybe this is the type of situation where we need some space.
I thought they came from the halls of Montezuma.
Well, or to the shores of Tripoli. Yeah.
So Q2 says that he just looked back where Morden arrives. There's a ship in the background. So, I mean, it is implied. It's strongly implied that he gets off of that transport. At the beginning of the scene, the transport comes in and it parks, and then he's off there walking it.
I might go rewatch this episode because it's got a lot of information in it, and it's packed. I mean, there was not much time in this episode for filler material.
It's pretty loaded up.
Probably why Kim loves it so much.
So there's a little bit of the only filler that I would really say would be Jakar and Londo arguing before the elevator.
Yeah, but that was funny, and then the guy that's stuck in the middle, he just jumps on the lift and takes off, and they blame each other.
That and the Ivanova joke at the beginning.
Yeah. I would say I got to say that guy is a good. He's like sitting there, he's looking back and forth at them, pretty uncomfortable being there.
That was a little bit of foreshadowing because she gets up. It is maybe okay. There's your other third. It's Wednesday, August 3rd, 2258 at 4:30. Wednesday. That's I mean that's but there's a little bit of foreshadowing where she says it's the dark. It's hard. She has a hard time waking up when it's dark. And of course, the whole episode revolves ultimately around
Shadow.
the shadow. Yeah.
One last thing.
Go ahead.
One last thing that we haven't touched on that is very important is the big fight between Morden and Kosh.
The fight.
Yes.
I wouldn't consider it a fight.
Yes, yes, it is, and this is why. During the the second time that Morden sees
Oh,
Kosh,
yeah.
yeah,
They don't
that is the
explain
most
how it happened.
and it's very subtle, but that is the most
Uh-oh.
the dialogue written down. Um, they see each other, and what happens is that that Kosh actually uses two whole sentences on a mere human being. Uh, Leave this place. They are not for you. What? Who is he first? Who are the targets? Uh, is he talking about the whole station, the what do you call it, the Mimbari or the Narn, or that the um, and then he spends even more words because remember, he doesn't talk very much on the show, and then his other one his and then he has 3 one-word sentences: leave, go now. And what does Mr. Morden do to a Vorlon? He smiles at him like, we'll make short work of you, or I'll make short work of you. And then he turns all serious, like, all right, let's get into it. And then
So
the rest of the fight is overshadowed from our perspective because of the battle with the Raiders is going on.
So we don't see any fight between them,
Right.
but we hear at the end of the episode, near the end, Kosh asks for some equipment to repair his suit. So
Right.
I was going to ask you about that. That's a little bit suspicious. What's going on there? So Michael, you're suggesting there's a battle there. They actually they're beating on each other in that time frame, which would fit him repairing his suit.
Well, now if you think about it, what if the Shadow are basically the opposite of Kosh's, of the Vorlons? Because remember when you see Kosh out of his suit, he's this bright, glowing, illuminating being.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see Morden, he's got this, and when he gets into it, there's like this shadow over him, like the difference between light and darkness.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen the rest, but there's obviously. I mean, it's quite a trope in science fiction for some sort of evil that's been banished from the galaxy to come back.
Is it an angelic versus demonic type thing that they're implying?
Could very well be. Yeah.
And my question asked from that is, why isn't Morden dead going up against a Vorlon?
Well, we do we see him afterwards?
Yes,
we do. He shows up and personally hands the eye to Lando.
Yeah, and then says, "We will find you." To him.
Yeah, with that kind of dislocated voice, because he disappeared. He's no longer in the in the corridor, but yet he can still hear him.
Yeah, and that's why I got to go back and look and see if he actually did get off of a ship or not, or if that was implied to be something else. Because I was just it's kind of an interesting. He kind of comes from nowhere, and then he just disappears at the end. And I don't think you see his shuttle launch or anything like that. So
no, but that doesn't mean it didn't. I mean,
no, that doesn't mean it didn't.
He could have come on the ship and just we don't know.
Yeah. Who knows?
Okay. What do you? I think that's mostly all of the things I wanted to talk about.
Division.
Division at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Division at the end. What about
it?
What about it?
The one Adira gives to Sinclair, showing the B5 station going all sparkly, then blowing up.
Yeah.
You like my picture
You
of my
want to talk
TV
about
set?
that? I think it's pretty.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of basic. I didn't think there was much to discuss about it. I mean, all the other Babylon 5s had problems too. I mean, I was going to say I'd be pretty disappointed if at the end of if season 5, the last episode of season 5, doesn't end up with Londo and Jakar each in Babylon 5 choking each other out while it blows up around them.
Well, they also point out. Let's see here. They point out. She shows the vision. She says it's a possible future. You can hope to. You hope. She hopes that you can avoid it. So it's just she implies that yes, there may be a way to avoid it, but right now that's what she's seeing.
Yeah,
it's like the death crystals in Rick and Morty.
I think
I don't get that because I don't watch Rick and Morty.
they kind of minimize it by saying it can. She says it can be avoided. So I'm like, all right, well, I mean,
I did get a kick out of. We got a bathroom scene in this episode.
Yes, we did.
There was a bathroom scene. I'm looking at my notes here. There was a bathroom scene. Sinclair was clearly using the urinal. And Garibaldi was in there talking to him. And then
Garibaldi was too. He was at the urinal next to him. What I find interesting about that particular scene is the fact that it looks like, just from the architecture, it looks like that bathroom's open to the corridor. And I'm thinking, why would you design it that way?
Well, even an airport, right?
Yeah, but if you go into the bathroom at an airport, it's still a contained room with walls all the way around. This looked like, because it's just a half wall, and they come out of that and into because the way the camera moves, you're seeing them, right? And the camera comes this way, and they come around that wall. It's like the bathroom is, if I'm standing here and I'm looking into the bathroom from the hallway, I was like, that architecture doesn't make any sense to me.
Maybe that was a bad camera angle that they decided to go with, because I could see where you go into a Walmart bathroom or well, it depends on the Walmart. A lot of newer places, you're going to walk in and go to the right or the left down a little hallway and a very short hallway, and then into the main bathroom area, where the sinks, the urinals, and the toilets are. So I think that's kind of the look they were implying. Lord knows I saw enough of those at rest areas along the way.
I'll just say that you're not supposed to talk to people at the urinal.
Well, assimilating has a point there. I always talk to people at urinals. Assimilating is trying to creep everybody out. I guess maybe because Garibaldi and him are such good friends. But I liked how they washed their hands. They both washed their hands with no water, but they washed their hands with the little whatever it was, kind of holding it underneath the light thing. But there was an important point in that, though, that the conversation that they had, which I guess that was kind of an area they were by themselves, and
you people are too obsessed with bathrooms.
I know. No,
not just you. I did this to interrupt. The one thing that's apocryphal is that in role-playing supplements, one of them was this box set for the entire Babylon 5 station. deck plans for the entire thing, and it showed you in typical samples for the deck plan that right next to the human bathroom, there's one for the non-human aliens, the ones that have to go to the alien sector, that live in the alien sector. If they're up in the oxygen nitrogen quarters, they have their own little bathrooms all lined
Well,
up
they
next to right next to the human ones.
they did actually talk
Sorry.
about that in like one of the very early, I think like the first episode, or maybe it was the pilot, right, where they said, look, there's the red one, the blue one, and the green, or something like that. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't go into that one, you know.
Yeah,
Well,
'cause it's not just the fumes from their whatever they expel from their bodies that'll kill you.
right. But at any rate, the conversation that they did, Garibaldi points out that Sinclair was not the first choice to be the commander of the station. And
Mm-hmm.
Sinclair asked him, he said, how far down was I? He says, there were admirals that wanted this position. You were way down there. And furthermore, the reason you got the position was because the Minbari specifically requested it. And that's that's clearly laying a plot and going into what we had talked about earlier with, the Minbari wanted Sinclair there.
I don't think the Minbari requested it.
They
They simply vetoed everybody until they got to him.
No, they specifically demanded that Sinclair be the one in charge of the station.
I don't know. That's not what I got. I think
they said it.
They basically vetoed everybody until they got.
Am I right assimilating QCast? Am I right? Did they not specifically say the Minbari? Did not he say that the Minbari wanted him to have it?
Well,
they demanded TV.
Garibaldi certainly is implying that, at least, but I think he does explicitly say it, because all of these different ones, he was probably like 50 or 60 on the list, I think is what Garibaldi said.
They wanted him to have it, but they did that not by saying, "Hey, we want you to get Sinclair."
They demanded it. They demanded he be there.
They simply vetoed everybody until they got to Sinclair.
That's not what I heard. I heard them say that they demanded that Sinclair be the one.
I don't think so.
Go back and watch the tape.
Go back and look at it and end the debate next week.
I think, yeah. So I think that's an important distinction, because it says something about the Minbari and how they're.
Well, it does. They know they specifically wanted him because of Delen's and encounter with him. That's why they didn't say why, but they wanted him.
Yeah, they did. They obviously want him to do it, but they didn't do it by saying, "Hey, I want this guy." They did it by vetoing everybody until he finally came up there. But anyway, assimilating agrees with me, but yeah.
He agrees with you?
Yeah, go look it up.
Oh, man.
But yeah. All right, last thing I want to talk about is the various production values on the episode. Lots of heavy CGI, lots of battle scenes. Anybody want to mention something? Jason, this is kind of your wheelhouse. You want to talk about that?
Well, I mean, there's plenty of it, and of course, it's still early days of CG, video toaster being what it is. It's not the greatest. It's every time that I see the CG in Babylon 5, I wonder in the back of my head, I wonder what this would look like with modern era effects.
Mm-hmm.
What would the station look like? What would the ships, what would the fighter ships look like? It feels like, I don't want to say it's unfinished. I get what they were going for because it was a new thing at the time, but I still think models are better.
To me, it seems like early render, like what you see when you're seeing like the behind the scenes of like a modern, animated, computer animated movie. It's like
Yeah.
the early footage or a video game.
It's
It's
the
that early
animatic.
footage
Well,
before
it
they've
is the
added
early-
all the texture and the and
well,
all.
it's the early '90s. It is the early version, right? Like,
But you know, when you turn around and compare it, hate to do that, but when you compare and contrast it with a show that was on at the same time, you know,
Yeah.
A certain competitor show.
yeah, a certain
I mean,
competitive show that had a
they're trying
promenade
to
and
save, they're trying to
and
save money, right? So they are using a cheaper instead of
they're
going with something
they're
like
using
Industrial Light and
right.
Magic. They're going with these new guys with these new video toasters who say they can do it for a fraction of the cost because
Sure.
they're using this new
Sure.
computer and stuff. So and that's why they're doing it.
But I think to what Jason said, I think I said the same thing after the pilot when we were talking about the pilot. Is man, can you imagine if they went back and remastered this and updated the graphics? That could and threw some CGI in there. They could take the show, remaster it, improve the CGI that's there, add more CGI to other stuff, to the regular stuff nowadays. You know, the regular, they could add more details and stuff like that in, and just re-release it, and it would be, for the most part, good. And if they had any
Yeah.
cutting room stuff, they could even, maybe fix some of the editing a little bit if they had all the original masters.
Well, my question was more about as opposed to, we all know what the quality of the show.
The sound, I think
the amount of CGI and like it seems to me they spent a significant portion of their CGI budget on this episode versus other.
I can believe it.
Yeah, we'll see what they have left in the remaining episodes for this season.
Yeah. Well, remember this was 16th, right? So this was
16th. So
a little bit later than when it appears. It's the 13th episode.
And one thing that they're going to have trouble with for doing the shots is the mid range shots, like when Morden's coming in, and supposedly you've got this big hull. This big docking bay and hallway that he's walking past, and he looks real. He looks real and he's not CGI, but the background looks fake in comparison because you're comparing. It's like when they do the painting shots in old Star Trek and then they fix them up.
Yeah,
you can only, but the
CGI.
Both people are still on there.
But they could do that. They could add more people to certain areas. That they could do a lot of stuff that
make the matte paintings look real.
That would literally bring it. They could bring it up to today's standard with minimal amounts of overall changing. Without changing the storylines or anything like that, and still have something really really cool. Because clearly they've got the story. They're strong on story.
Most of the performances are pretty solid.
Most of them, yeah. I again with this episode, being a later episode, I think Sinclair didn't overact. He didn't do some of the things that I've complained about in the early episodes. But I also figured early episodes are always going to have some different fitting into those new shoes feeling. Garibaldi and Ivanova both got to fly.
Yeah, they got to sit in the thing. All right. Last thoughts on the episode. Michael, start with you.
I'm waiting from this episode. No, I'm very happy. I give this one. There are a few that are even better than this, but the thing is, this one's close to the best one close to the best for the season because it sets up everything. I'd give it an 8 out of 10.
Jason.
Well, on a 10-point scale, I'd have to say 6 or 7 from a production standpoint. I am going to have to go back and watch it again because there's pieces of it that I missed. I probably fell asleep in the chair, so I'm going to have to go back and look at
I
it
sometimes
again.
do that too, and I have to rewatch.
Yeah.
For
You're
not for
still
this
jet
show
lagging from
necessarily,
your
for
work?
everything.
I'm jet lagging from that, but also the fact that for the last 8 months or so, my son James has been working night shift, and so he doesn't get home till he hasn't been getting home till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and my sleep schedule, his sleep schedule has been way off for a long time, and so we're playing catch up on that too. So it's I'm more tired than I usually am. But anytime I sit down in a particular chair, apparently I tend to fall asleep. So I was like, hang on, wait a minute, what did I miss? And apparently a lot, but I'll do better next week.
All right,
Yeah, you'll be back in the swing.
Death
We'll
Angel.
see.
Oh, I was gonna give it like a 9. Actually, I was thinking even a little higher than a 9. It's not perfect, but overall, the storyline definitely was good, and the plot, uh, the way that they've left all these little plot droppings, plot hooks for the future, as well as starting to tie up some of them together from the previous episodes that we've seen. I overall, like I said, I thought it was, so far I would say it's the best episode I've seen. So yeah, I think I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I can't say it was perfect. I'm not going to discount it because of the graphics of the era, and I'm sure that they were on a budget at the time. I accidentally
movies
popped
always-
in season 2, disc 1 already once before, and saw some stuff that looked like it had improved, and I'm like, oh, this is not the right season. So, like, even the splash screen looked different. That was a dead giveaway. But
Yeah, don't
I'm
worry about that. They change them every year or every season.
yeah. Do they? Okay. So
Cam, do you want to come in and at the end and give us your last thoughts on the episode? Yes, no, maybe so. If not, I'll give Cam's opinion. He hated it. He hates everything.
yeah.
All right. We'll see if he comes in. Maybe he'll come. Anyway, my thoughts on the show. Yeah, it was a good episode. I enjoyed it. It's very much. I agree with Q2 here. It's a very important piece moving the story forward. It was all about moving the story forward. It's all the main story. So it's a good episode that way. We're starting to advance the plot. We're starting to see what's going on. Something going on with the Centauri, and their government is not as strong as we think. There's something. This shadow thing is something's going on with these guys. I mean, I'm curious as to what the heck's the deal. Are they humans? That's something we were talking about. They didn't go to the humans and ask them, what do you want? Maybe these guys, these shadow, are humans. Maybe they're in league with the humans or something? I don't know. I haven't seen that far. I'm just speculating. But enjoyed the episode. Chock full of information, almost overly information as to what was going on. The main plot of the story and what's going on. I'm curious to see if we're going to see the Raiders again. If are they going to be like sort of out of it now for a while because basically they've been blown up, or are we going to see they're going to come back?
They're
Well,
beside
probably-
themselves.
Are the Raiders and the Shadow involved with each other somehow, or are they rival groups just vying for power? Obviously,
Well,
the Shadow is
as
much
far
more
as
powerful.
as far as them reappearing at some point in the show, I'm sure they probably will, given how much time they've spent so
The Raiders?
far on episodes, within episodes dealing with Raiders, and because we talked about the other week where Ivanova took on how many all by herself, and barely made it back. So the
I'm not-
Raiders, I think, are going to be a thing for a little while.
I don't know. They
It's not
could have
gonna be a
just been.
constant, but
They could have just been a problem to be overcome, and now for bigger problems like the Shadow. So I mean,
Maybe.
I'm not sure. I'm curious to find out.
I don't know.
But anyway, yeah. All right. Okay, that's it for. I think that's it. Anybody have any last final comments?
Be sure to
No.
like and subscribe.
Oh no! Before we still got to do. Yeah, we're not there yet.
Trivia.
We still got to do
Yeah,
trivia.
I know.
All right.
Well, people should like and subscribe anyway, just because
You should. Yes.
they
you
hate
should.
me.
Yes.
So
That's right.
you know.
Because Snob needs to pay for hookers and blow. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. He needs to blow his nose. That's what he needs.
All
How
right.
can you tell between the blow and the snow up there?
Yeah, exactly. It's melting. It's starting to melt finally. All right. So here are the trivia questions for this episode, which will give you the answers next week. At what battle was the eye lost? That's kind of a hard question. It's just sort of mentioned in passing. You don't pay attention, you won't catch it. What is Morden's famous question? Fairly easy. Who did the seer correctly predict was going to kill Lord Hero? Finish this quote. Let me buy you a drink. Let me buy you a whole blank of drinks. And who said that quote? And the last question, how many Star Furies did the station lose in battle with the Raiders?
I know that one. We did not talk about that one.
All those answers will be revealed next week. Same time, same place. Let's start with anybody want to mention any promotion or anything? Michael?
Just for those who haven't joined the what do you call it? Oh God, what do we call our server? Discord. Thank you.
Discord.
Yeah, sorry, I had a brain cramp there. Yeah, for those of you who haven't seen the Discord from a gaming standpoint, Space 1999. The quick start is now available on drive-through for those of you who want to get a feeling of its nostalgia, because the main book, besides all the stuff you need for a role-playing game, is going to have episode-by-episode summaries, and also stats for all the characters. And then, as Jason had mentioned in his show earlier, coming in July is going to be Planet of the Apes role-playing game. And you can play any one of the eras, and the movie trilogy is going to be like the movie series are going to be the first supplement. So if you're into, I'm very much into that multimedia tie-in thing. Oh, look, I can pretend to be Sinclair, or how's it go? Hey, let me be Cornelius and survive this week's adventure against the GM.
All right.
Okay.
Right on. Michael? Jason.
Yeah. Like I said, yesterday's show. Paul DeGarabedian was on. He's a media analyst at ComScore, and we talked CinemaCon. We talked about the Minecraft box office, so go check that out. Tomorrow, in the bottom half of the second hour, Stephen O'Young is going to be a guest on the program, and we're going to talk about his efforts to get cast in the next Spider-Man movie, Brave New World, because apparently they're looking for a 40 to 50-year-old Asian actor, and he's already played Mr. Negative in the Spider-Man video games, and so he's doing his Horseshack. Oh, me. So we're going to talk to him tomorrow about that, and catch up on a few other tabs, I think. And then there's another article that's come out regarding Kathleen Kennedy, so we'll probably look at that too.
All right. Okay, great. Thanks. I'll check that out. I'm interested in Mr. Negative. Yeah, so for the show,
You are Mr. Negative.
That's
Well,
Cam.
not in the
Cam
same
hates
way.
everything. He's Mr. Negative.
Is that DC Mr. Nobody's brother?
Yeah. I
Sure.
get those two mixed up. Yeah,
Oh, I
so-
did forget one important thing that has nothing to do with meat per se. C2E2 in Chicago is this weekend. For those of you who have enough money to go to that sort of thing.
I was like 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours away from Chicago, where I was this weekend up till yesterday.
All right. Also,
Didn't get to see opening day.
all right. Q2 also mentions his show. Go check out his show. I don't have the link to it, but
I get it.
I think the Shadow will throw the link in the chat for me. Yeah, that'd be great. So check out his show as well too. Cam on special assignment from the hospital. Yeah, all right. So our next week, of course, we're going to be looking at episode 14, TKO, and as well, so same time, 10 o'clock Central on Wednesday, and as well on the Top Lofty Lounge this Sunday, it's movie night, and we're going to look at Rock and Rule, which is a heavy metal style rock animated film from the 1980s, sort of heavy metal. The evil, basically, it's Mick Jagger, but they changed his name, of course. Mock Swagger, I think his name is. And we're going to be checking that out and talking about the movie, and go to the YouTube coming up air on the channel. Look at it, and it's got a link to the Internet Archives. You can watch it for free. Watch the American version. That's what we're going to do. All right. That's it for the show today. Thanks, everybody, for coming in. We appreciate you. Like and subscribe. All those stuff help us get seen. And I want a special thanks to all our guests, Jeff and Jason, but special thanks to Michael for coming out. And if anybody else wants to come out, we have open. We don't have all the rest of the shows are still open. No one's claimed them. If you want to come out and be a guest host for an episode, hey, drop me something in the comments, and I'll get in contact with you. Come on and tell us what you think. All right, that's it, everyone. Thanks for coming by. See you next week.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye.